The cars coming round for round 9 of the Renault Europa Cup. The first time we've seen these cars, in fact, in Britain. Interesting car, the Renault 21 with 2.6 bar for the 1995cc engine from the turbo, giving about 300 brake horsepower. Over 6,000 revs, 170 miles an hour, 0 to 60 in 5 seconds, and a very full field here, with in pole position currently just one car on the front row, but it's got to be joined surely by somebody else. That's Massimo Sigala, who incidentally leads the championship on 102 points. Next to him should be Thomas Saladana and Marco Spinelli, Heinz Becker on the second row, but we can see that the lights are ready to go to red. British interest in a car well down on the grid currently, but that's Nicky Phillips, the Renault 5 champion in number 56. Red lights onto green, they're away. And as one might expect, Sigala makes a superb start, but a very good start too. And getting alongside him, somebody taking to the grass there, but Sigala made the best start by far. Only to lose the lead as they go into Redgate Corner. A very crowded French traffic jam down the hill. And Sigala not taking really the advantage from pole position that we expected. Front-wheel drive, of course, these cars. Tremendous amount of power. In the lead, number 4, Heinz Becker. Touches the grass there. Sigala right behind him. Front-wheel drive cars like this tend to handle not dissimilarly in some ways to a rear-wheel drive car. If you back off, the tail comes out, sometimes quite viciously, but if you've got a lot of power on, then they tend to go wide. Rest of the field filing through. Still Becker with quite a respectable lead. Off down the straight and looking as if he means it, because he's put some space between himself and everybody else. And coming down to the bridge there, under the bridge, into the S's, and then of course up onto the Grand Prix loop. Coming up now to brake change down for the Melbourne hairpin. 2 hairpin bends, of course, on this course. The right-hander at Melbourne. The short straight where if anybody does go to the pits, they actually go into the pits from here and then up towards Goddard's Corner. Right behind Becker, it's number 5, Marco Spinelli. Spinelli going for the inside. Spinelli, and onto the grass and off it again. That was, I'm pretty sure, the pole position and Sigala, who went from first to third in one easy lesson. So still quite a respectable lead for Heinz Becker rather. With some interesting battles going on further down the field. Number 12 there, Eduardo de Asa. And there we see the veteran of what looks a fairly hefty bang. That's number 6, Dirk Wagner. But Becker, well and truly in charge. Coming up the hill to that looping right-hander at McLean's Corner. Difficult corner to get right. You always seem to be able to take it quicker until the day you take it too quickly and go off. Coppice Corner follows that. Onto the straight. There's number 1, Sigala, in third place, but not showing as well as we thought he would. And the fight, in fact, starting for the lead, because you can see that up in front Heinz Becker has not perhaps the advantage that he had on the previous lap. Renault 21 spread out round the beautiful Parkland circuit here at Donington Park. And Becker going up towards the Melbourne Loop with a shrinking lead. Oh, locked up there, almost got clipped by the man behind, Spinelli. And Spinelli, in fact, came off worse there, because by the time he'd outbraked himself and collected it back together, it was too late to do the dramatic move that he was looking for. And in fact, I think he lost a place there. Yes, he did. Sigala, who obviously requires a bit more road coming out of Goddard than anybody else, in second place. Now ahead of Spinelli. Massimo Sigala used to drive, of course, the Elf Turbo Cup last year. So it's a change of car for all these drivers. But the 21's proving to be very quick, and there's a little trace of smoke coming from that leading car. It can't augur well for the entire race, but let's just wait and see. From the old hairpin, up under the bridge, into the right-hander, the one that I said, if you get this one right, then marvellous. Otherwise, you've gone in a little bit too slowly, and you don't use all the road and come out as quickly as you might. Spinelli trying to make up for that mistake which cost him second place and cost him his bid for first place, and somebody else getting very sideways there. There's Spinelli, closing again on Segala, and staying with Segala as they go down the straight, but Heinz Becker comfortably in the lead. Brake change down through the S's. This section of Donington eased a little bit this year, which has made life a little bit easier. And now you can see Segala is the man who's making the bid to close on Becker, and doing so to some effect. Becker 4, Segala 1, Spinelli 5. And now up to Goddard's, and all the pressure in the world has not yet dislodged Heinz Becker, but it might do any minute. Does he need all the grass again? Well, not quite as much as before, perhaps. Past the pits and into Redgate Corner. One of those corners which goes on forever and ever. You think you've got it right, and then it seems to go on as you go down the downhill section here, which is flat for a brave man. Into the old hairpin. The car on a downhill section like that gets out of balance very easily, particularly when you have to start to brake. And Becker there teetering on the brink of adhesion. All on the grass goes Segala, gets it back together again. That very nearly was his second place, and in fact it might well be if he's gone off cam, because these engines having a comparatively narrow power band, if you go off cam, if you lose revs, you can get caught, and he very nearly did. And the man who would have perhaps profited by that was Marco Spinelli. And Marco Spinelli hits the side of Segala, and off he goes. Well, I have seen Massimo Segala lose his temper before now over an incident like that, and I feel that he would probably be perfectly right to be a bit upset about it, but on the other hand, on the inside was the other driver. Let's see it in replay. You can see that he's taking a nice wide swoop in, but on the inside there comes Spinelli, a bit excitable, goes over the curb, gets himself on two wheels, T-bones poor old Segala, who is the chap who ends up facing the wrong way, wishing he had nothing to do with it. So, Heinz Becker has the pressure off him a little bit now, because while they're all tripping over themselves, he can afford perhaps to, while not relax, tend to drive his own race and be a little bit less defensive. Let's see what that lead is. There is Becker. Yes, he's got a good 75 yards or so now. In second place, and still holding on to it there, Marco Spinelli. In third place, it looks to me like Joel Guyet. And in fourth place, now Britain's Nicky Phillips in the Renault UK car. And that's a very good performance. The luckless Segala, of course, well relegated after that incident. Championship position sees Segala well in the lead. Guyet is in second place in the championship. Spinelli in third place. So that's an interesting battle. Phillips, of course, doesn't figure at all, because this is the first race he's done and probably will be the only race he does. But he's showing his class and showing his ability. Nicky Phillips, ex, of course, Formula Ford and the Renault 5 champion, reigning champion, looks as if he might win it again, too. And that's a good show as far as Nicky Phillips is concerned. Must be feeling very pleased with that. I know all the Renault boys will be pleased with it. Immensely popular, the Irishman. There is a surprise. Wolfgang Schutz, who normally is pretty well up, is well down. He lies fourth in the championship. I'd expected to see him much further up than that. Now here is Spinelli. He's under a certain amount of pressure now. Touches the grass. The pressure coming from number 24, Guyet. You can see that neither of them have made much impression upon the leader. The Renault 21, a very useful motor car indeed, a lovely road car. Absolutely superb road car, and makes, obviously, an interesting race. Out onto the straight, Heinz Becker in the lead, behind him Spinelli, They're not very far behind. With all the pressure in the world on from Guillet is Phillips, and there's interesting then. The battle going on apace. That's number 7, Michael Bleekemolen, the Flying Dutchman as he's known. Philip Bugaski behind him. And Michael Bleekemolen, one time in fact, looked as if he was going to have a very good single-seater career ahead of him, but it didn't really happen. Charming then, stayed very true to Renault for a long time. They're all pushing poor old Wolfgang Schütz, who doesn't know quite what he's doing down there. Feels he must be further up, but doesn't know quite how to go about it. And he's got, as you can see, quite a long way to go before he makes any impression on anyone. But it's a good fight, this. Schütz holding off Bleekemolen. Bugaska behind. And as a very wide line there by Schütz was taken, Bleekemolen is alongside, and that looks like a sure change of place if he can become the last of the late breakers. Well, he can't. Quite obviously, Wolfgang Schütz is the last of the late breakers. Almost outbraked himself there, you saw it lock up. And I would suspect that that's Massimo Sigala on the back of that group, but we didn't have time to identify him. There goes Bleekemolen up the inside, into Melbourne. And that was a calculated risk. He took it, he got it, he's come out. At the same time, while poor old Schütz was gathering himself together, Bugaski thought, well, here's my turn too. And if he can get clear, which he has as they go into Goddard's, he can probably just go across, close the door he has, retain that position, and that must be Massimo Sigala, because we don't know anybody else who comes out on the grass quite like that. Sigala, tail wagging the dog, all on the limit of breaking there, snatches the place. And Wolfgang Schütz must be feeling, well, what have I done today? Not a lot, is the brave reply. Down the hill, towards the old hairpin. This by far and away the best scrap of the lot. The interesting position, of course, being that of Sigala, the leader of the championship. Can he now do anything about the leading battle up ahead? Becker still there, Spinelli in second place. In third place and going well, Joel Guillet in fourth place, Nicky Phillips, who's lost a bit of ground there. So I would have thought that Sigala would want to try, if he could, certainly to collect in Phillips. This is a two-part race, don't forget. We should be seeing the second part as well. So life will only get even more interesting as the battle goes on. Heinz Becker. Becker going very nicely, thank you. Quite well in control of the situation. There is Nicky Phillips, easy to spot, Union Jack on the side of the car, as we said. And there we have this battle. That's Bleekemolen. And now we've got Sigala pushing very hard to displace Joel Guillet, the man who runs third in the championship. Or is it Bugaski? It's Bugaski, I beg his pardon. Bugaski there being pushed out by Sigala. And Sigala there making the classic manoeuvre on the inside. He'd got the corner. And I don't think there's an awful lot of fight in Philippe Bugaski. I think he's going to sit there, and I think the wise thing is to sit there and let Sigala do his pieces. Massimo Sigala in this mood will not be inhibited in any way by anybody else's actions. He is very determined to get back up onto terms. Whether or not he can do it remains to be seen. That was Nicky Phillips. There is Michael Bleekemolen. There is Sigala. And there is, still going well, Philippe Bugaski, but as I said, I think he's been outpaced. Whoops, that's a cloud of dust, and that was Michael Bleekemolen, and he doesn't make mistakes like that very often. Now, the fight between Bleekemolen and Sigala might be an interesting one. The Flying Dutchman, a lot of experience, could very well give more problems to Sigala than a few. Remains to be seen whether the penthouse car can be caught and passed as easily as was the case with Bugaski a lap before. The leader once again, I think really for reference purposes, still going well. Mr. Spinelli, Marco Spinelli in second place, not in touch, but having a little problem of his own, I think, at the moment. The man giving it him is Joel Gouillet in third place. Gouillet almost caught him napping there. Didn't quite make it, but he almost did. Gouillet, I think, fancies his chances to get into second place. Remains to be seen whether he can, but it's certainly now a big effort on his part. And that's Phillips, who's no further back, certainly. As we've said, we think he's got a bit of a worry coming up with Segala, as Segala manages to get past Bleekemolen. But here we've got the battle for second and third places, and it's off down the hill again. This is the awkward bit. Going downhill very quickly is one of the most difficult manoeuvres in a fast car, because all the weighting, all the centre of gravity changes. There's not quite the same amount of feel. It's all a bit difficult. That was the old hairpin. Going uphill now, towards the right-hander, under the bridge, and you can see all the pressure that is on at the moment to displace Spinelli, and it really is some pressure. From McLean's to Coppice, a comparatively short distance and just about a car's length between them. If anything, Spinelli was the quicker in, but I think there's no doubt about who was the quicker out. On the straight, though, Spinelli seems to have an advantage in the early part of the rev range. Then the latter half, it changes a little bit, and galloping up comes Gouillet. Gouillet under braking right on the tail, through the first, and the second part of the S, up now towards where we've seen a number of overtaking manoeuvres. The last of the late breakers can have a tremendous advantage, but look, a little bit of experience there. Spinelli staying well over on the right-hand side. It doesn't make for a quick exit, but it doesn't help the guy behind any either, because he can't come in quick. And that was a very classic door-shutting manoeuvre. It's interesting when you get a driver in this situation where they're both thinking a lot and very hard about what they're doing, whether or not somebody's got some idea up their sleeve that's a bit original. And right now, it doesn't seem to me that Monsieur Gouillet has any ideas at all. He's just hoping, I think, that Spinelli might make a mistake, and that would help his quest. Off down the hill again. A good battle then for second and third. No doubt about the leader. Heinz Becker out front there. And nobody really able to worry him too much at the moment. And that little cloud of smoke that we see from time to time from that leading car doesn't seem to be getting any worse, doesn't seem to be getting any better. So I think we can afford, for the time being anyway, to ignore it. Marshall's having a quiet time there, you can see. No waving of flags, nothing awful happening. And here's this battle for second and third places. And still trying to find a way through, but hasn't thought of one. Gouillet, now, has he got anything planned for this lap? We saw that it was quite obvious that Spinelli was aware of the places that he was likely to have a go in Spinelli's mind, as Gouillet thought of anything different. No, he's kept his braking fairly late. He's got right up tight on the tail. Perhaps he's going to try and come out quick. That didn't work anyway, because he put the power down. You saw the front end wash out, so he used up all the road, so it availed him of nothing. And once again, the inside, the tight line being taken by Spinelli, so he doesn't give any room at all for Gouillet to come through on the inside with the classic out-braking manoeuvre. And now he's not close enough, of course, to do anything like that when they get to Goddard's. And Spinelli can congratulate himself on having held on to second place for another lap. And that looked to me like the leader sliding very wide, and judging by the fact that the distance between them and the leader has gone down a bit, I reckon that he's slowing a bit. There is Bleekemolen in the black car, and behind him is Segala. We've tended to forget about this guy here, which has been a bit unfortunate, because he's the chap who's following Nicky Phillips, but Phillips we've been delighted to see holding on to his place. Down through the old hairpin comes the leader. And Heinz Becker, I would suggest, may yet have a fight on his hands for the lead. As Spinelli has closed the gap, Gouillet is going with him. I think he's stopped fighting at this stage and said, well, look, let's catch the leader up before we do anything else, shall we? When you get two cars fighting it out close together, they tend to delay each other a little bit. And sometimes an intelligent driver, shall we say, who's fighting for second place, but is in third, if he sees that they are actually catching the leader, will back off and just let them take themselves up, depending on how much of the race, of course, is left. That was a good look at a very brave attempt to go down the inside, going into the S's. Another sort of classic idea. Get the chap in front to feel secure, and then suddenly come from nowhere and have a go at him. But he didn't actually make the effort quite soon enough. Now he's looking closely again now, and I can see that it does seem to me that Spinelli isn't making perhaps the progress in catching the leader that would like to be seen by Joe Guillet. The gap has gone out a bit, as you will see on this lap. We know it was a mistake on the part of Becker that allowed that gap to narrow down, but it didn't really narrow it down enough for the challenge. Whether or not they decided to perhaps back off their own battle for a bit to see if they could catch him didn't help much. That was number 17, I think, that was stopped by the side of the track, but I'm not sure about that. We just saw a flash of that car there, and the cameras didn't linger upon him. Still this battle going on. And of course the other interesting point is that when you get somebody like this following closely, it's very, very hard on the patience. We saw what happened when Spinelli was in that situation. Will Guillet sort of lose his patience and have a crack at the long place? Three wheels on my wagon, well, it's three-wheel cornering on 21s. We see it on 5s as well. Wonderful chassis, really handles superbly, and when you think that the basic car, of course, has all sorts of different power units, but by far and away, to my view, one of the nicest cars as a sports saloon, the 21 Turbo, as a road car, supercar. Spinelli, under braking behind him, Guillet comes diving up again, but it's all to no real effect. I think he might be better employed thinking of somewhere else to do it. I would have thought that get up there tight, get up there close, and have a go perhaps going into Redgate would be an idea. I wonder whether we can convey that to him with the power of thought. I very much doubt it. Pulling out of the corner there, Spinelli seems to have an advantage. Under braking, certainly the guy behind is able to close a bit. But both of them not making any real impression on the leader. And Heinz Becker having quite a lonely time there. You can see Nicky Phillips comes out of Goddard's, and it's about half the distance of the pit straight between the battle that's going on for second and third, and then Segala, who is a similar distance back, but I think is making a bit of an impression on Phillips now. Spinelli has made a bit of impression there. He's pulled away from the following Guillet, and that's quite interesting. Uses a bit of the grass. Not much, but it's certainly making a big, big effort. And this is worthwhile to see whether or not he's decided to cut loose, or whether it might be that because of all the effort that's been going into out-braking, Guillet might be getting a bit tired on the braking front. Certainly we've got Segala up now, closing on Nicky Phillips. We just saw a flash of the two cars fairly close together there. It might be a lap or so before it happens, but it is going to happen. Under braking, it's as you were, and Guillet, who seemed to take a bit of time off there, comes back to have another good close look at Spinelli. But the Italian holds him off. The leader, to me, does not seem to be getting away, does not seem to be holding that gap static, and if anything has lost a bit more ground again. Now here is Spinelli with behind him Guillet, and in front Heinz Becker, who's been in charge. We've seen, as I said, the little puff of smoke from time to time, but it's not got any worse. So Heinz Becker goes into his last lap with a reasonably respectable lead. Becker in the lead then, Spinelli in second place. Here's a good battle. This is the battle that sees Britain's Nicky Phillips being pressed by Massimo Segala, and it's a battle for 4th and 5th places. That's 15, Christoph Babin, who stopped by the side of the track there. And this is Segala, who is coming down to try and do something about Phillips. And Phillips will be well aware of that situation. and is trying very hard. He's got two wheels on the dirt there, but so is Segala, and still a fair distance between them, but Segala closing in fast. The leaders, Heinz Becker, a lot of smoke there. I can't believe that's all tar smoke. I think he's got some sort of incipient mechanical problem as well. Still Spinelli in the second place. Still Guillet in third place. And the three of them pretty close together. And bear in mind, this is the last lap. Well, that's Heinz Becker in the lead. That's Spinelli in second place. That's in third place. Still Guillet. I noticed in the background there, we'd still got Phillips ahead of Segala. Locking right up there was Becker. But Becker hanging on. Spinelli hanging on. It's up to the line. They've just got Goddard's to get round. Round Goddard's has gone the leader. There's the second, there's the third place battle. You can see how close they are. The flag is waiting, and all three are trying to look at the squeeze that's going on. But by literally half a car's length there, Heinz Becker held off Spinelli, who held off in turn Guillet, first, second and third. Who finished fourth, I asked myself. Well, as we watch the three go down, I can tell you that Massimo Segala succeeded in getting past Nicky Phillips. So that was Segala in fourth place, the man who was put out after that spin. Nicky Phillips next up in fifth place. Those are the results of Renault Elf Europa Cup Race Part 1.